Me either.
Exactly. I am usually, actually with Jennifer Ellis now, I might be able to do it.
So Terry,
It just needs to, at least, so that there's always one person.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can put me on the list.
Okay, perfect, I'll let her know. She was here.
maybe you guys can coordinate, like
Yeah.
if you can't make it.
This is,
And then is it, like, could Linda fill in if they needed her to?
I think so. I think it just has to be declared that those three
Oh,
people
okay.
are
I'd rather have those
negotiating.
two do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's fine.
And we'll stick with the classified, Linda?
Yeah. I've been doing classified since 2011.
Yeah,
Kinda
we
like
looked at it.
sticking with them.
Last couple times.
Yeah.
Well, I can kick this back in the floor, superintendent search committee.
Whose district?
If I, so, I'm the one on the board that's the only one that has any expertise in that. So
So you,
I'm chair, vice chair.
did you get voluntold to be that too?
Also secretary as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, thank God, Claire Furlan volunteered. Because, well, I could type all this stuff up, because we've been going through all the job description stuff all over again, make sure we got things more clarified, these things correct, or what are we looking for? And do the candidate letters, I mean, all this stuff. And so we were making all these notes, because we've been meeting almost weekly. And then she's like, I'll type that up for you. Like, thank you.
Yeah. What's the word? When you return from a recess, there's a reconvene?
Yes, that would be it.
Okay, we're gonna reconvene and start our business meeting for Thursday, March 13th, 2025. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any public comment, Maureen? Do we have any changes to the agenda this evening? None? Next up, we have student board representative with Madison Talarico. Welcome back.
Thank you. I apologize for my absence. Share the Love was a very busy time, as we all know. But I prepared quite a big speech for us, so I can update you guys on what's been happening. So starting off with Share the Love, I'm going to tell you guys the amount of money that we raised for those who don't know. So for the Larson, the Nagelhood family, and the Olson Epping family, we managed to raise $109,565 for Share the Love this year, which is even more than last year. So thank you to anyone who showed up to events. That really helped, even if it was just like a $5. But yeah, everyone had a lot of fun. The closing assembly was a lot of fun as well, with all the teacher promises. We got to shave Atherton's beard. So that was
Oh, wow.
it was a look.
Beardless?
Yeah, they did the Tony Stark look. They
Why
sent
is he
out
not
a-
here tonight?
I can't even fathom that.
They sent out a poll the
wanna
day
see him.
before, and then he shaved it completely off the next day afterwards. But he had the Tony Stark like beard. It was quite funny. I wish we took more pictures of it. moving on, we had Staff Appreciation Week. So we gave roses to all of the staff members at the school. We have made posters for almost every single teacher's door, and we're still working on getting some of those out to make sure they're actually good quality. And teachers got the option to fill out their own little form that they could send to other teachers that leadership helped deliver. So they got to do chocolate bars, roses, bouquets, pens. That's where I got this pen. It's quite a nice pen, actually. And yeah, we just wanted to show a lot of appreciation. So it turned out really nice. Everyone loved it. And then FBLA ended up giving out some free drinks to staff members as well. Just trying to share more of the love, even after it ended. Moving on again. Second trimester officially ended. Today was our last finals day. So now we have the rest of the week off, and then we're moving into third try, the last and final trimester. So with that, that does mean it is almost my time to leave, sadly. So I've been in communication with someone who is going to replace me, and we're working on getting him here. You guys already know and mostly love him. Josiah Lopez has mostly agreed, so we're working on getting all the details figured out and actually getting him here to listen in on some and then slowly take control after me. So thank you guys for this amazing opportunity. I love working with you guys. So we go into more than nitty-gritty. I have different updates on different clubs. So FFA won at sub-state and will continue on to state. We had 2 people. One person won 4th overall, but they ranked 16th in the state. And another person won 1st at their competition and 4th throughout the whole state. They're now moving on to FFA state, which I believe you guys said was next Saturday, I believe. Thursday. And then FBLA, we attended regionals, and we also have state winners. We have Nick Sano going 1st place for his event. We have Owen Ritter going for 5th place, and then I am going for 3rd place in my event for graphic design, and that is the beginning of April. So we will participate in state and see who gets up there even more. We had robotics team. They made it to their quarterfinals and semifinals with team 97038B winning the VEX Robotics Crate Award Trophy, and team 97038G winning the VEX Robotics Energy Award Trophy, and they are now celebrating it by going to the beach. They're currently at Seaside right now. They left right after finals. So now we're going to go into the arts. If you guys would like, March 18th, March 18th is our choir concert. We have the three high school choirs performing, and we're also having a joint one with our middle school. So if you guys would like to come and support, we have some quite great songs that we're singing this time. We all love them.
What time is that?
It is at 7 p.m. at the auditorium. Yeah. And then April 30th, leadership is bringing it back, and we're hosting our art show again. So it is going to showcase different materials. We have different categories that we selected that I can name out a few. Are ceramics, drawings, paintings, graphic design, metals, woodworking. There'll be light snacks, and it's just going to be a giant case for everyone to showcase what they do at Malala. I believe we're having professional judges come as well, just to have people be proud of their accomplishments. I believe that I don't know. I know before they've done it in the library, but it also just depends on how big the turnout is, depends on how big the space is. But more information will be coming up soon. I'll probably mention it at next month's meeting with more information. Just getting that in your ears right now. So yeah, you guys just come support all the arts. I know Malala High School really likes our different woodworking and metals classes, but it's also really nice to support theaters and the choir classes as well, and all the different art classes that we offer that are amazing. And then the last thing I'm going to tell you guys is something I'm probably not supposed to tell, but me and my best friend Lily, we've been doing choir since the 6th grade, and we're still going on throughout high school. We got asked to compete against a couple other schools to be background singers for Avi Copland at his concert in April. So we're competing against a couple other schools trying to become a background center for him at his concert. And he's only taking about 15 people, but so far we are on the list. So figured I would share that. It's fun and exciting. And that is all I got. I tried to make it nice and long to replace the other ones that I've missed.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve it.
Second.
That, oh,
Sorry, who seconded that?
that was Neil. I think Neil beat me by a fraction of a second, so.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be updating y'all on 4 items tonight. Our high school bell PA system, cybersecurity, E-rate category 1, and then AI policy development. First off, to recap, our existing Simplex PA system is on its last leg. We want to get it replaced before we can no longer find parts on eBay. So we've gone out for a competitive bidding process. So far, we've had about 7 people do walkthroughs to look at the equipment, look at the school, and do evaluations for a new system. We should be getting bids back on that by the end of March, and we'll be able to do an evaluation of those and find a winning bidder. One of the things that has really kind of shown forth during this process is that in modern Bell PA systems, a lot of security is built into them to tie into other systems so that they can tie into phone systems, they can tie into alarm systems, and so forth. So one of the things I'm doing, because I know that eventually we'll need to replace the other Bell systems across the district, is looking at it from an overall security standpoint of how can we get security communication when something happens at one school so that we know about it at the district office and other schools immediately. All of that I know is going to be costing money, as it always does. So one of the things I'll be looking at is the Justice Department has a school violence prevention program grant. I've applied for that grant in the past to replace camera systems, and so this is right in line with the type of stuff that they like to fund, school security. So we can probably go after that grant to replace bell systems, PA systems, alarm systems, maybe panic codes, things like that throughout the district. That grant typically pays 75% with the school covering 25%. That grant should open up sometime mid to late April, and usually due dates are around June. So that gives us plenty of time to do some analysis and figure out what type of security things we want to get so that we can apply for it. If we do get the grant, you have 3 years to spend the money, so our 25% can be spread out over a 3-year period. All right. Correct. It's the most heavily used one, and so we've had to replace some circuit boards on it a few times. Luckily, Daniel is very talented and has figured out how to reprogram those boards. So we've been able to purchase them off of eBay and get them reprogrammed to work in our school.
How much is the money of the grant?
Pardon?
How much money is the grant?
So they just look at each individual bid and how much money they have, so there isn't a specific limitation to it.
Who is it that's providing the grant?
Justice Department.
Okay.
So Justice Department has a COPS program, and the COPS program has several grants within it for security. One of them is the School Violence Prevention Program, which we could apply for. Next up, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a growing concern. Since 2016, there's been over 2,000 attacks on schools in the U.S. 90% of those attacks typically happen through phishing, and a teacher, administrator, someone clicking on a phishing email, and that's how they get into the systems. The average cost of a cyber attack when it is successful is $3.7 million. So, lots of us don't think much about how important the security is for our emails, but that is the route they like to get in. We have been doing some cybersecurity testing, and so we've been doing phishing testing as well as testing our networks for vulnerabilities. And so we have found opportunities for improvement. So we are going to be working on a campaign to help change behavioral modifications on helping people understand how to protect themselves for cybersecurity and improve passwords and be able to recognize threats and how to respond to them. As well as we are going through the physical part of it and going through our password policies, making sure that we are got them locked down so that they are secure and meeting all the standards recommended by the Cyber Institute.
I have a quick question about that. In regards to the cybersecurity and those phishing attacks, would that include our school keyboard or our school laptops too? Could they get in through that?
Yes.
Even though we're not connected generally all day long to the school's network?
Correct.
But
So-
it could still, luckily, most of our email stuff has filters and they have, the sides you don't look at and then, all the stuff that's supposed to come through, so.
So just in very general, if they get a hold of someone who does not have maybe a lot of login ability, so if they overtook someone's account, they could then use that to spread out more emails for phishing attacks. And
Okay.
then they could target other people who do have higher levels of access.
Gotcha.
And that way they can kind of work their way in.
Okay. Just curious, it's not something I would normally click on, but that, it's good for us to know.
Yes.
And we're using AI to do it now, so where they'll know everything there is to know about you and actually start these emails with conversations about you and your mom. You name it.
Amazing how
They
much
know
they
everything.
put out.
And thanks to AI, they're more high-tech than phishing emails.
Except then they don't know where they met you, that's the only problem. That's the first question, how do you know me? Where did we meet? We've been friends forever. Yeah, okay.
We used a company called CyberNet that helped us do evaluations of phishing emails. So they connected into our system and we sent out phishing emails to our staff, which we were able to create a kind of a baseline to look at how we were doing. And so that gives us a point of figuring out what can we do to improve, how can we improve, and then we can test again and see how we are improving along the way. And they were very sophisticated. There were emails that were specifically tailored for schools that talked about, hey, we've got a meeting for cyberbullying, make sure you sign up for it. We've got meetings about changes to spring break schedules. There's links to Excel files, things like that. So they can be very sophisticated,
Wow.
and you have to pay a lot of attention to make sure you know what you're cooking. Any additional questions? All right, the next one I'm going to talk about is the update on the Category 1. We are going out for a bid for data transmission services for our for fiber, and we are looking at doing dark fiber so that we have control over our own network. We went out for bids. Bids were submitted. We created a committee to review those bids. The committee consisted of Amy McNeil, Mark Bluth, Jeremy Pietro, who's the CIO of Clackamas ESD, Jeremy Joseph, who's a community member, well-standing and has some technical background as well, and then myself. As part of the process of what we did, we convened the committee. I took and divided up the bids, gave them rating guidelines, rating sheets, and instructions on how to rate the bids. And then we went through individually and had about a week to review the bids and rate them. That way, everybody had kind of a blind look at it and could kind of make their own assessment on each bid. Then we came back and reviewed those bids all together to make an assessment. We are close to a final decision on it. What we're doing is we're having the results of the committee be reviewed by our E-rate consultants and our lawyers to just make sure everything is, all our T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and at the next meeting, we should be bringing you the results of that evaluation. Four companies.
And that's including Malala Communications.
Correct. It was Malala Communication, CDX, which was the county, and then it was Astound, and then WinRAP, and those are two national companies. WinRAP.
We should know what, by the next meeting then?
Yes.
We just like, okay.
All right, then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. And so one of the things I want to bring to y'all is we're going to be working on writing policies here at the district. Sure. Yeah, we're going to be working on writing policies here at the district to cover everything from staff policies regarding AI, acceptable usage policies, and student policies on the use of AI. As part of that, there is an OSBA policy on AI that I will be bringing to you. And right now I have an executive committee created where we are taking and reviewing the requirements that we want to put into our AI policies. That team consists of me, Randy Dalton, Tamara Jackson, Robin Show, and we also are going to have a few teachers sit on it to help review those policies as we get them written. We're currently in the writing process of it, but one of the things I wanted to ask y'all is would y'all like a special session on AI to go in depth on it before y'all are having to review policies regarding AI?
So,
Yeah, I
question
would
I
love
have
it.
though, we also have a policy committee, that part of our, technically is not our, but it consists of myself,
Myself
Yeah.
and Terry.
Rob.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like whether you have a special need or special specification, is great. But at some point that needs to be addressed. Possibly, if we were to follow our custom, it would be this meeting, report.
Okay. And I'm happy to follow that policy.
I definitely want,
I can't remember something on that meeting.
Supposed to be the fourth.
It's the end of April.
Yeah.
We usually do the last Tuesday of every month, but because it's spring break this month, we will do April, so the last Tuesday.
Is that soon enough to meet?
Yeah, that is soon enough to meet. I'm still working on writing policies, but I can bring to that policy committee the OSBA policy for AI. And I can also bring the one for cybersecurity, which I'm also reviewing.
Just quick comment to answer your question, at some point, preparing to educate us on what all the hopes, dreams, and fears are of AI,
Mhm.
to bring us up to speed at some point. Not sure how we fit into all that scheduling, but I think it would be an awesome thing
All right. I'm happy to do.
to work on a not connected.
Not all of us. Some of us are.
Well, that concludes what I had to discuss. Do y'all have any further questions for me?
Thanks, Chris.
I got one quick question. What kind of stuff is going to be covered, just ballpark on the AI stuff? What kind of stuff is going to be in there?
So probably what I'm going to do is cover just a little bit of the history of how did we get here,
Okay,
as well as what can AI do, what can't AI do, and what's its scope within schools. Like,
okay.
how should we be using it? How should we be looking at it?
How should we not be using it?
How should we not be using
Okay.
it?
That was my big concern, because I've already heard about students using it to write papers and stuff for them, so that,
So one of the approaches that we're really looking at fishing is the ethical use of AI. Because what we don't want students to do is to lose their voice to AI.
yeah,
We want them to use it as a way to enhance what they're already doing. And so we need to have discussions with them about the proper ways to use this so that they can take advantage of this technology while still growing and developing as students.
yeah. Okay, thank you. Good evening.
I was going to suggest to Chris that he could ask AI to write the AI policy, save some time.
Yeah.
Could be done tonight. We have our commissioning agent that we've hired is on board, and they do the testing and verifying of a new building. I would say 30 years ago, when schools weren't so complicated, there's no such thing as commissioning agents that would come in. They just handed the building off to Tony Tiano, and then he had to figure out what was wrong with it. And then they'd come back and try to fix it. But now we have a testing agent that would come in and test and verify all the controls and airflows and everything is working properly before they hand it over. We are going to get a hazardous materials consultant on board in the next couple of weeks, and they will come in to the middle school and do all the thorough testing for hazardous materials. That'd be lead and PCBs and asbestos, of course, prior to demoing the building. We have completed schematic design, and schematic design is that conceptual design of the building, and from your perspective might look like a beautiful building that's already been designed. You've seen beautiful pictures and a fly-through, but that's just conceptual. So we're in design development phase now, and that's where you're putting more meat on the bones and really getting into how to build the building or what's in the building. And that'll end in April. That's when construction documents start and specifications. And that's a very detailed process to go from May to maybe September. And I mean, just in this room, you could see that conduit with the outlets. They'll specify what type of screw goes in that, how many inches off the counter does it go, what kind of conduit is, what size of wires inside, what is the brand of the outlet. Every hinge, every handle, every screw gets specified, and it's a very, very extensive document. If you're going to glue down this carpet, not just the type of glue, but the trowel you use and how high the grooves are that you use to put on this adhesive. So it is a very, very extensive process. Again, that'll be May through September, and we'll hopefully do some early bid packages to get on site earlier than that before those are even done. Our contractor that's on board now and our independent estimator will give us some new estimates probably the middle of May. After we're done with design development prior to construction documents, they'll give us new estimates in the middle of May, and we'll come back and share how we're doing to stay on track with the budget. And of course, there's no option we'll be on budget, but that's what we'll come back and share. We'll also hopefully have things resolved with the city on those requirements, what those will cost us as well. In April 24th, at your work session, we are tentatively planning to bring the architect back to share design updates and maybe a more sophisticated fly-through of the building. And then on May 6th, we'll have the next Bond Oversight Committee meeting, and then they'll get that information as well. Do you have any questions? Yeah. Hearing none? Thank you. Yep.
Director McNeil, members of the board. Kind of short, sweet little agenda for me tonight. Just like to highlight a couple things. I'm working on a couple important projects. One of them with Mr. Campbell here. Again, continue to improve, from our satisfactory to complete on our students' scorecards. Again, really implementing that into a couple of these projects that we're working on. One includes, again, keep upgrading our lighting LED projects, along with one of the big takeaway here tonight is trying to contract with a state of Oregon certified energy company. And more information to come on that. So, you guys got my report. Do you have any questions on these two topics we're talking about? All right. Thanks, guys. Absolutely. Middle school? Yes. Yeah, so basically being it's a steam system, we have inside of our air handler, we have it's basically a leak inside the coil exchanger that we really can't get to, so it was a little more cost effective instead of replacing that unit to put in a split system. So they have heat. And it was continually dripping in the middle of the classroom. So it was pulling out the ceiling tile. So our plan is to take that split system, pull it out, once the building gets demoed, we would relocate that to another room. It's really needed in the building. So, yeah, it was just a leaky. Another problem. All right. Yeah. You bet.
Director McNeil, members of the board, good evening. Tony and I, we do a really good job of making sure we don't spend extra money on the middle school. So when that mini split came up, I'm like, hey, I'm not spending the money, but can we relocate it somewhere? Because there's a warm classroom somewhere in the district that gets afternoon sun, so we're gonna relocate that. My report tonight is brief. I did want to just highlight a couple of bright spots. The ODE has released the state school fund for 24-25 update, as well as the 25-26 update. So you'll see, I've updated the ADMW extended in your paragraph there. Happy to answer any questions with regard to that. I really just need to be brief tonight because I need to get back to the budget. So, takes up my evenings and my weekends and making sure that everything's covered. So happy to answer any questions on the report.
Not now. I think eventually, I guess, more thoughts around the, bonds for first, but right now, no.
Mhm. I think when Rick produced the budget last year, we planned for a higher expense. We didn't see that higher expense this past year, but the potential is still there. Yeah. So I think it's prudent to have a reserve. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair McNeil and directors. So I do have a little slide so, just to kind of help us follow along, I wanted to just highlight a few things. And the first thing I wanted to highlight is our continued community outreach to our English language families. And a few weeks ago, we had a math literacy night. So we partnered with a math specialist from Clackamas ESD, as well as had the help of our high school Key Club students, who helped engage students and parents and showed them how fun math can be. And so on the next slide, there's some examples of some of the games that they played. And then each family, student, went home with a couple of different math activities. So that was a success. We'll continue to do outreach to our families and find out what they, how best to support their students. All right, the next one is just a quick little update on the K-12 science curriculum adoption. If you remember last month, I pretty much said, we had a committee. At this point, we have a variety of teachers along with committee members. We have 14, we have 12 teachers, and then we have our principal Mitchell, as well as our assistant principal Chapin, who are on the committee. And right now, the month of March, a lot of teachers are actually looking at some of the selected curriculum that they're looking at and doing some sample lessons with their students. Because it's one thing to look at the curriculum, but another thing to actually use it in the classroom and see how it works. So that's this month. Next month, we'll see what they are looking at, kind of focus in on one curriculum. We'll have the opportunity for the public to look at the curriculum and give their input. That group will come back and select what they would like to bring to the board for approval, and that will happen in May. So just a little update on that.
So May is board approval, and then the other month of March is the public approval, and so you can have a presentation at one of the schools, or?
So what we'll do is the month of March, because I can't believe it, we're in the middle of March already.
Yeah, we're in March, yeah.
They're doing their pilot lessons, and so probably the end of April will be public input, and then May will be presented to you guys to see, give your input, and then June make the final approval.
Okay, it's not until June, okay, and then when do they get to see the public library, what?
So we're looking at probably the end of April. I'll have those dates next month for you. Yes. Questions on that one? Okay. And then just a quick update on our after-school program activities. I've been talking, the past few minutes about middle school. That's a year-long program. Next month, we have our elementary after-school enrichment program that's starting at all 4 of our elementaries, as well as our English language after-school program. So those will be starting in April and run through the end of the year. And the last thing that I have is just a little preview. So ODE requires Oregon school districts to undergo a comprehensive needs assessment and application process to continue to receive funding from a variety of grants. And so the next slide shows what those grants are and their purposes. You've heard us talk in the past about these grants. So just a quick little overview. We have the high school success. We have the student investment account, which provides a lot of the programs I just talked about. The early literacy success, which is a new grant the past year with our K-5 literacy focus. Early indicator and intervention systems, which really talks about the data collection and analysis system. Career and technical education, and then also federal school improvement. On the next slide, it shows which one of these we receive funding for. So all of these are, you know, play a huge part, right, in what we do. And so the application is coming up, and so what we're doing right now is we're gathering, you want to go to the next slide, we've gathered a lot of input from our community, so families, students, as well as staff members on a variety of different levels. We've looked at what we need for our students, and as well as reviewing and revising what our past plan was, our application, which was 4 years ago. So this is a continued process that they do every 4 years for the biennium. So, slide. I'm kind of just giving you a little review tonight, and then next month we'll have the application. I'll go through the application in a little bit more detail, and we will seek the approval to actually submit the application. We need board approval for that. So just wanted to kind of give you a review. So, right. There's 6, but if we go back to one, like the federal school improvement, we don't receive funds for that. So going back to the next slide, these are the ones that we do receive funding.
So all the others we get, but not that federal one. So there's 5 of them we can have access to.
Yes.
Okay.
4, and then,
Okay.
yeah.
We have high school success, student investment account, early literacy, early indicator.
You want to go back one more?
Okay, so the
So
early
it's okay.
indicator is
The
the
early,
one.
or we call it the EIIS system,
Okay, so that's one we don't get?
we will.
So which one am I?
So all of these, with the exception of the federal school improvements.
Okay. So all of them except the federal school? Okay.
Yes.
We got 5 then.
And we can get this slide deck, if you like the slide deck too.
What?
The slide deck, if you would like access to that, so.
Oh, that'd be
you can
great.
see. Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
No, it's okay. No, it's great.
I'm gonna just add one other little context here. Tamara's come on board here in the last couple of years, really sort of walked into a significant job to respond to the Department of Ed and all of the applications and all of the reports that they expect. Feedback that the Department of Ed has had from superintendents and others has been really a desire to move their systems and their demand for reports and such, and focus on manageability and streamlining things. ODE's response in part here is to say, instead of expecting a school district to apply for 4 different grants and have 4 different sets of reports and 4 different sets of data to collect, we'd like you to submit one integrated plan. And so I don't know if that makes the work any lighter, but the intention is to try and streamline it, and I really appreciate Tamara's work. Each of the activities that's on this slide is aligned with our action plan that feeds our stoplight report card and our school goals. So just the use of those resources being aligned, and I'm really excited about where we're going, especially with early literacy and some of the work with our elementary schools around reading outcomes. So I appreciate, again, Tamara. I just want to add that piece if I may. Appreciate the work Tamara's doing.
Yeah.
Good evening, directors. I have a pretty brief report for you today. We're continuing to do the work we do. We collect data on Abbreviated Day every single month. Continuing to work to transition 4-year-olds who have already been identified with disabilities into kindergarten for the fall. So
Our special education staff's working on that right now. And right now, one of our TOSAs is working on training all of our necessary staff to administer the extended assessment to support kids through that. I want to call it the SBAC, but I'm going to say it's
Smarter Balance Assessment.
right, but we don't call it that. We call it OSAS. Sorry. So
OSAC now?
OSAS, the Oregon State.
Or they're just trying to make it
That's-
hard for us. You know?
I think acronyms, it's too late in the evening for the acronyms. I apologize. But anyways, supporting kids to do that. But other than that, questions, thoughts, things you'd like me to report on in the future?
Oh, yeah, you got all the staffing that you require, right? Are we short on people like, what?
I would say we're short a few IAs.
Few IAs,
I'm not,
that's
I'm
it.
also don't want that to minimize that and say that, we're careful about who we need and we need who we need. But yes, we still have 2 or 3 IA positions
You have everybody else?
for special education.
This
We
is
have,
so hard to fill.
we have everybody else that we need in special education right now. Yeah.
Make sure board members have a chance to ask their questions before we move, please. I'm going to take a risk and just dovetail on what Robin was speaking about. Just the work we do, Robin does, and Tamara does, all of our principals and our teachers, have our students achieve at higher and higher levels. This OSAS, Oregon State Assessment of Academic Progress or something. I would like to share with the board that there are only 8 states I learned in the country that implement the SBAC assessment in the same way that Oregon does. And we've been having some conversations around what does it really measure. And from where I sit, I sat down and I took the 4th grade SBAC ELA assessment, English Language Arts. If I were to tell you that English Language Arts, we're taking the English Language Arts test, what would you think in lay terms that test would evaluate?
Reading
Kids' ability,
Reading comprehension. your
kids' ability to read.
Yeah, reading, yeah. Comprehension,
Right? So here's what I think it assesses.
at grade level.
I think it assesses, I think it neither assesses reading, nor writing, nor hand-eye coordination, nor spatial intelligence, nor the ability to have academic scan-off that measures all of those things. And that is not reading. And so I think that one of the things we've been talking about is how do we report to our public our kids' ability to read on a nationally normed reference assessment, so we know how our kids are performing in relationship to others. I'm not taking issue so much with where we are as a state, we've been implementing SBAC for a while, but with my parent hat on, it doesn't tell me how my kid is a reader. It doesn't measure reading. It measures hand-eye coordination, the ability for a kid to sit for probably 7 hours sometimes at a computer, and process information in 2 vertically aligned screens that move like this. I can scan up and down, left and right. I'm going back and forth between instructions and tasks and answering questions. And then I have to use my little 4th grade fingers to type.
How do they do that?
At the end of the day, it's measuring a bunch of stuff, but I don't believe it's measuring what our parents would expect us to measure in clear purposes. Reading, writing. Reading, writing, the ability to communicate in reading and writing. And so I'm sort of going out on a limb here, but I just want you to know as a board that we're having some conversations with this as a district. County superintendents met with the state deputy superintendent of public instruction on Wednesday this week, and the governor has been really clear. And I'm not afraid of accountability. The governor's been very clear that we're moving into a space where schools who are not performing will be sanctioned. So it'll be a lot like the No Child Left Behind days, where if you're in the lowest 25% of schools in the state, there will be punishment that you'll experience. Now, I say punishment, some retraining to get your teaching
youngsters to perform at higher levels so that your kids perform at higher levels. I really believe that we know how to teach kids to read. I really believe with a norm reference assessment, I can communicate to our parents how our kids are as readers and writers. And I'm just concerned about the SBAC. And that was a feedback I gave to the Department of Ed is if accountability is where we're headed, I'm all for accountability, but let's be honest and accurate about what we're reporting. Because the average person on the street thinks that the English language arts test is measuring reading and writing. And I'm here to tell you today, I took the 4th grade ELA test a couple weeks back, and
I was just gonna ask the same
Yeah,
thing.
he won't give us the score. No, I'm
As
just
a
kidding.
4th grader, I would have tried to comply. I would have tried to comply because I want adults to like me. But that would have been worse than a dental appointment. I'm just telling you, I'm going out on a limb. This is all being recorded, but I was, clear with this feedback to the Department of Ed, and I really would like to see Oregon move in a new direction.
Yeah.
Not to lower the bar, keep the bar high,
Yeah.
but let's be honest about what we're measuring. So I didn't plan to say that tonight, and I took the opportunity.
Well, maybe more people should see that.
They've heard the same message from the Confederation of Board School Administrators. I spoke with OSA on leadership on this as well as other superintendents. So, we'll see where we go. But I'm just concerned about, anyway, I've said it enough. I don't need to say it again.
It sounds to me,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like you're saying it's kind of a participation trophy test.
It's a, can I sit and try my best to, it's not measuring reading right.
Okay, that needs to be fixed.
It does.
Well, considering, I can say the SBAC and I couldn't say what Oregon calls the Smarter Balanced Assessment. My dissertation research really focused on the accessibility of the test. And it's a pretty inaccessible test. So, having to sit for 7 hours is not very accessible, right? Having to type when you're maybe a child who doesn't type every day and now you have to put your thoughts. It's a different skill to write your thoughts with a pen or a pencil than it is to type, right? Maybe more and more the younger, kids have more experience with keyboards than they had a few years ago, but still that accessibility of that test, there's a lot of barriers there, and it's actually touted as a very quote-unquote accessible test. I think they thought through a lot of these barriers, but at the same time, when it still comes down to putting young kids in front of a computer like that, even if they have the skills, it's possible that accessibility piece is keeping them from demonstrating what they know, and that's the problem, right? Is we really just want to know what kids know, and is this the best way to figure out what they know, whether it's that test or not, but anyways.
And if only 42 of the 50 states are using that assessment tool, not that I want to always just follow the crowd, but that's saying something. If 42 of the 50 states have left the Smarter Balanced Assessment, then we need to go in that direction.
I got a question. I'm going to date myself here. When I was in school, we took the California Achievement Test. And that gave us a very defined, clear, okay, in 6th grade, I tested at 12th grade levels on everything. How come is that not available anymore, like in that format, or?
Well, you can tell me how much you want to know. But what happened was the federal government chose 2 tests, and all of the states had to pick one or the other. So there's a consortium of states that picked the Smarter Balance, and of course, a consortium of states that picked and it should be at the tip of my, but it's not. So there's 2.
Okay.
And they've been in place for a while, and I wasn't aware of kind of what Tony's mentioning too, that maybe more and more states have pulled away from the Smarter Balance and have gone to the other one. But that's where this came from. So states right now aren't giving their own, like that was called, I don't know, I guess I can't speak to back to then, did every state have a different test? Possibly, right? This is where,
Well, California Achievement Test was the standard for
Right.
all schools
Well,
at that time.
And these tests are supposed to measure, right, Common Core state standards, right? So there was hypothetically, right, there was going to be this adoption across all of the states of the Common Core state standards, and these were the 2 tests that states could choose to measure whether or not the Common Core state standards were being, taught, and whether or not children were learning those standards. So it's been some years, right, since we put all of those things in place, that the government put all those things in place. So the state's, doing what the feds are asking it to do, pick one, right? But does that make, I don't know if
But
that helps the
yeah, it's
question or
just
not.
sounding like the test that they picked is not,
And these
it's not
tests
working
don't
for us.
allow paper versions, so that was a huge change as well. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. But,
Yeah.
and are probably responsible for some of the computer infrastructure that we have today because of computers needing to be available in every school for kids to take the
Yeah.
tests. It's a little tail wagging the dog there, but that answers your question.
I'm just saying that we need to find something that's gonna test that, like what Tony's saying, so we can get accurate. And like I said, that's what I know, I remember that from when I was in school, and they gave a very, okay, this is where you are with your reading, this is where you are with your math, this is where you are with your spelling. And they gave you a level, this grade, that grade, whatever. And so, if there's something out there that we could switch to that would more accurately, test those things,
You're
I would
speaking
love
to
that.
his-
And we are doing that research now.
Okay.
Looking at a couple different possible tools to supplement.
Good deal. I'm glad to hear that,
One
because,
of them is produced by the North, I'm looking it up here, I don't remember the name. of it.
Northwest
Northwest
Educational
Education.
Association.
Yeah. It's a globally recognized set of assessments. Is one of them, and the other is a publisher's assessment tool. So we're doing the research.
okay.
Yeah. Appreciate the question. I took us way off course. So.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good to know this, because, when I hear that Oregon is 50th in the country
Oh,
for,
yeah.
education of students, used to be Nevada, but we dropped below them. It concerns me,
Me too.
Yeah.
I'd like to know where our kids are,
But
and if that test isn't testing the things that we need to know, then we need to find a test that is.
Well, you're seeing it in the grammar. Kids or anybody who's commenting on comments on Facebook and all that, you can see that their grammar is lacking, punctuation's lacking.
Yep.
They don't seem to know the difference between B-E-A-R and B-A-R-E, all the different theirs that you've got.
Theirs and the
It's just
yours and
astounding.
yours.
Yeah.
I think that's a different, it comes together, but it's a little different issue, right, of how, yeah.
Yeah, and very concerning, and nobody seems to know who the founding fathers are, or what our Constitution or our Bill of Rights are.
And we're not blaming you for that.
No,
by the way.
Thank you.
And we're not blaming, we're not coming at you, it's just
Somewhere
like,
along fix all these
We have
issues.
missed the boat.
It's me. No, I appreciate that.
yeah, no, it's just saying in general that we need to,
Just pissing him off.
Well, I think we're just learning what access to the internet and social media has on,
Oh,
children
yeah.
starting. This is, I
Awful.
think, the first class, our kindergarten class that could potentially have been born with a smartphone in their hand.
yeah,
So,
most of them are.
different issue, different day.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Concern. Thank you. Word.
This calendar that's presented is really close to the calendar that the board adopted for the academic year 24-25 that we're just wrapping up here now. So it lays over the course of the year very similarly. We have provided it, as we always do, to our Teachers Association to provide us some feedback. We're bringing it this evening for a first review. This gives folks in the public to get a chance to look at it, the board to look at it. We're staying with the sort of traditional inspections that are here, including on first days of students after Labor Day. 3 trimesters at the secondary level are balanced so that kids have the same number of instructional hours to learn the same concepts at the high school in particular. And we're trying to always align the non-school days for students. Like we have conferences today at all 3 levels. At 2 levels. Anyway, I guess, yeah, so we try and align things so that children are home at the same time, when the calendar will allow that. So, glad to answer any questions has a chance to adopt it, and we'll bring it back for adoption at your next meeting, am I right? Yeah. The work session next week, yeah. There is space for inclement weather days to allow us to close school for safety reasons and still stay above the minimum number of instructional hours required in the state. The calendar as it's presented does not tag those on. In the past, there was 1 year where we added them, but we gave that was some notice to everybody. And it was a subject of bargaining with our teachers. This aligns with teacher contract as well in terms of the number of days of instruction. So yes, there's room, but we don't do what some districts do in other places. Add some days, right. Right.
How many days can they miss?
I was just going to say. Yeah, in and around 2, 2.5, 3, depending on the year. And we always go back, if we need to come back and ask the board for a variance, which we've never done. We'll grant for the special variance during the season, the year that we had the fires and the ice plunge. That was something that the Department of Ed granted some variance. We didn't have to come back and ask the board for approval. But if we do get to that place where we're bumping on instructional hours, we'll bring it back.
Just to let you know, Terry is, she's still here.
Okay, next up we have first reading of policy. Policies are non-discrimination communicable diseases for schools, HCDA, CAP, HIV/AIDS, and HEV,
Mike's not working. Oops.
Well, haven't had a chance to really read through all of this, but the one thing that I would question is Title IX, they've been trying to mess with that Title IX and the transgender thing, so are we going back to common sense now, or what's going on with that?
So if I respond?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the policies as they exist are aligned with all of the guidance that we've received in terms of letters from the federal government around Title IX to date. We're not bringing any changes until such time as we get direction that we need to move that direction. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but there's no
Some changes in the DEI. It's not in this one, okay, all right.
I can't hear Craig or Amy at all. I don't know if hardly anything is coming from you guys.
Oh, you can't hear any of us?
I can hear most of everybody. I just can't hear Craig and Amy at all.
So,
I can hear you now, yes.
Maybe I just need to speak up. Sorry. I was just responding to Linda's comment about DEI and
It's not on here.
mentioned, or not mentioned, orders from the, I guess, the executive branch of our government. I was just saying that there aren't really any DEI-related items that are contained in these policies that are proposed for update, for amendment.
Do you
Okay.
have any questions about the policies? that are
No,
being-
I couldn't hear half of what you were saying, so.
Oh, okay.
I-
All right, we'll check out board book. All of them are in
I
there,
will.
and then,
I'll catch up with it.
thank you, sorry.
That's okay.
Comment is hats off to the policy committee for some wrestling with some pretty complicated and massive policies, so. Thanks for all your work in it this fall.
If I may just come back to Director Esper, good question around timeline. I wanted to also just reference, these policies do speak to the obligation of the district. If there's a complaint regarding harassment or intimidation, bullying associated with gender or gender identity, we want all of our kids and all of our staff to feel safe in our schools and welcome and accepted. And so if we did receive a complaint, regardless of whether or not the federal government moves in a particular direction around Title IX, I want the board to know and the community to know if a child came to an administrator in our district for any reason and felt like they were being treated in a way that made them not want to come to school or be afraid, that we have a duty to investigate that and remedy it. So I just want to leave that unspoken.
Superintendent's report.
I will only say this. Good partner in crime here, Ms. Nelzine reminded me that spring sports are underway. Competitions begin next week, right? And you'll recall that Ms. Nelzine is one of the state leaders in moving forward to make sure that we have boys volleyball as an OSA sanctioned sport. They're not quite there yet. One more year, and we'll have boys volleyball. So Lori's out there coaching boys volleyball. We also have girls flag football that's beginning its first year in movement towards becoming an OSA sanctioned sport. We've fielded a team there. So track and field, tennis, these spring sports are all starting next week. Let's hope the weather turns to the sunny side, because, right? Like to be outside. So
Great.
I have nothing else to report.
Okay. Board comments.
I don't have anything right now.
I don't either. Nothing?
It's one of those nights.
Not tonight.
Really? I just have one thing. I've been a little bit involved with helping Happy Jack and him transitioning from the hospital in West County. He's unfortunately not doing well, and so he was looking for prayers.
Yep.
He's at peace, and he's at home and resting, but not feeling very good, so. Sorry, Terry, did you hear me?
No, just that Jack's not doing well.
I was just saying, just say a prayer for Happy Jack.
Yeah, I saw your post earlier about gathering and singing songs for him, so I'm sorry to see that he's at that time in his life.
Yeah.
Matt's been a pillar of our community for many, many years,
Absolutely.
whether he realizes it or not.
Yeah.
Well, he sure looks younger than 89.
I know. He looks
That's
great.
incredible.
That's what happiness will do for you.
Happiness and a lot of bike riding.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Upcoming meetings, we have March 20th work session. We're having a back-to-back due to.
That will be
spring
virtual.
break. And that's all virtual.
Okay.
April 10th, business meeting, 7 p.m. at the district office. April 24th, work session, 7 p.m. at the district office. And April 28th, policy committee meeting at 6 p.m. at the district office.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move we adjourn.
Is that good?
Wow, No, you
Skip
beat
that.
it. Linda's on it, yeah.